Hey y'all, welcome back to The Burrow. I'm Hillary, your resident fragrance-loving muggle. So, today I have a full house review for you. So if you want to hear about the house of Celine, stick around. So when my friend Sancho introduced me to the house of Celine, I honestly thought that it meant Celine Dion, and I was pretty skeptical, but turns out Celine is a designer house. They're typically known for their handbags and other expensive leather goods, but they used to make fragrances. They haven't made many since the early 2000s, but recently Hedi Slimane, who was over Dior from 2000 to 2007 when they made fragrances like Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense, and then he went to Yves Saint Laurent. Well, he's now at Celine, and last year in 2019 they came out with a whole line of 9 new fragrances. So I do actually have 2 bottles from the house so you can see the presentation. One is mine and one belongs to my friend Chris. But these bottles are very classy, very clean looking. They look great in your collection. They are not just a simple like rectangular kind of shape. They actually are kind of ribbed on the side for your pleasure. And even the caps are kind of shaped like a dodecagon or something. I can't count how many sides there are just looking at it real quick. And then there is a little symbol there on top. But even the stickers on the front feel kind of like a fabric, and they just look really, really nice. They feel very high quality and they're nice and heavy in your hand. So very beautiful. And they have a really nice magnetic cap as well with a symbol on top of the sprayer. All right, so Nightclubbing is probably my favorite from the line. So this fragrance has notes of vanilla, iris, galbanum, patchouli, musk, and oak moss. So when you first spray the scent, it's very green and earthy. I think that has a lot to do with the galbanum and the iris playing in there, as well as the oak moss. It might be a little bit off-putting at first because of how strong the oak moss is. However, when this fragrance dries down on your skin, this becomes the smoothest vanilla iris combination I've ever smelled. Like, it is literally like you have spread this vanilla iris butter all over your body. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely perfect for men or women, very unisex. I kind of get Dior Homme vibes from this fragrance just because of the way they've used the iris, especially in the dry down, but it doesn't have that kind of sparkle that that Dior Homme has. This is so much smoother and feels a bit more elegant in my opinion. So that is Nightclubbing. Okay, so next we have Reptile. Now this fragrance has notes of musk, cedar, oak moss, leather, and pepper, which is honestly why Chris got it, because he saw pepper and the name Reptile and he had to have it. Both of us actually have pet reptiles. So one of the main things that I like about this fragrance is the way that it sits on your skin. Where Nightclub had a normal amount of longevity and projection, this one is actually, most people would say it's lacking in projection. However, I think that this was strictly meant to be a skin scent. Even with a name like Reptile, where reptiles shed their skin, I think this is just supposed to support your natural skin chemistry. I feel like the cedar and the oak moss here do this kind of blending thing to give it an almost berried vibe, and it's just very sweet, but a natural sweet without being like sticky sweet, if that makes sense. It also has this freshness, which oddly enough seems to come from the leather, because the leather is very light and crisp. It just makes your skin smell better than it normally would, I guess. This is definitely a fragrance that I don't think anybody could be offended by, and this is perfect for, say, in the summer when it's too hot to really wear much of anything else and you just want to make sure that your skin smells different. Reptile. It's very nice. Okay, so next we have Eau de Californie. Now, this fragrance features notes of Palo Santo, patchouli, bergamot, iris, and moss. Now, Palo Santo, I wasn't super familiar with it, but it is a wood that has both smoky and creamy facets, and you definitely get both of those in here. You get some earthiness from the patchouli and the moss, but this dries down to be, like, I would have guessed it as sandalwood with pepper if I had not seen the note listing before. It just dries down to be this beautiful, smooth, creamy woodiness that just sits very close to the skin again. It does project more than Reptile. This is a fragrance that I could see being somebody's signature scent perhaps, or something that they wear casually, maybe with like a white t-shirt. This is just a clean, nice woody fragrance. Again, completely inoffensive, and not per se as complex as Nightclubbing, the first one, but this is just a good fragrance that's easy to wear, totally unisex. Yeah, if you like to smell like some creamy wood with a little bit of spice, you could go with Eau de Californie. Okay, so next we have Peau Nue, and I think this one might be my least favorite from the line. This fragrance has iris, rose, rice, vetiver, and bergamot in it. It's a very makeup-y iris in here. And it's kind of really dry, like it almost tickles my throat when I smell it. And I think I'm just not a fan of the way the iris is used in this fragrance. It kind of gives it a very classical vibe, perhaps. I could see somebody wearing this if they were dressed up, like maybe in like a suit and tie. Yeah, this seems like maybe a slightly more mature fragrance. It's great in a polished environment. It's just not personally my cup of tea. So that was Peau Nue. Okay, so next we have Black Tie, and this is another vanilla and iris fragrance. It kind of is similar to the dry down of Nightclubbing, but you kind of skip the whole earthy green opening sort of thing. So if you really liked the way that fragrance smelled, this is perhaps an easier to wear version of it. This smells very formal, really sweet and beautiful. The vanilla and the iris in here, again, just form this silky, smooth, kind of fluffy, almost like marshmallow fluff kind of texture. A beautiful fragrance. I really, really like that one. I think if I didn't already have Nightclubbing, I probably would get Black Tie, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't still get it in the future because I do really, really enjoy it. I just feel like it might be a little bit redundant since I do have Nightclubbing and this dry down is kind of similar, but awesome. So our next fragrance is Saint-Germain-des-Prés. I'm certain I've pronounced that wrong. I'm so sorry to people who speak French, but this fragrance is a neroli and petitgrain dominant fragrance. There is also heliotrope and iris in here as always, and a little bit of vanilla, but this one is so dominated by the sharp greenness of the petitgrain. This also is probably not my cup of tea, but this would be perfect in the springtime, maybe even in the summer, because it is just so crisp and clean. Again, probably inoffensive. It's just not something I personally would pull for. Yeah, so that was Saint-Germain-des-Prés, a neroli and petitgrain dominant fragrance. I've started to notice a theme here. Almost all of these have iris and vanilla in them. Almost all of them. And yeah, maybe that's just what they like to work with. Okay, so next we have Cologne Française. Now this fragrance is actually like fig tree and oak moss, iris again, neroli, and musk. Now the fig tree is definitely the dominant note here. Very green, it still has that kind of sweetness that you smell almost any time you smell fig in a fragrance. But this is definitely more green. And with that moss in here, it's almost like you're smelling the bark, you're smelling maybe the wind like whip through around this fig tree. Yeah, this is really, really nice, very fresh. I definitely prefer this one over the last one as far as maybe a neroli-ish fragrance is concerned. The fig in here just makes this a lot more interesting. If I was going to compare this to another fig fragrance, I would probably say it compares most closely to Philosopos from Detique, just because it is, again, this green tree kind of situation that we're smelling here. Really, really nice. If you're into fig, definitely give that one a try. Okay, so our next fragrance is Parade, and I think that this is probably like the ultimate white t-shirt fragrance. Not like a white t-shirt competition, that's a totally different category altogether. But if you're gonna just wear a nice white crisp shirt, this is what I would wear. This, the main notes that I get in here are vetiver and bergamot, and the bergamot is really juicy, like you just squeezed it over top of some earthy vetiver. There's not any smokiness or anything coming from this vetiver, it's just very mellow and kind of chill. And then we also have some oak moss in the background that's kind of just grounding the fragrance, a little bit of musk, and some neroli. But absolutely gorgeous, very clean fragrance, perfect for spring, summer, the office, just about any time you want to just smell clean, but not like just a normal clean fragrance. Yeah, that's Parade. So last but not least, we have Dawn's Paris, and it has notes of laurel blossom, vanilla, musk, coriander, and bergamot. Now, more than anything, this smells like heliotrope. So I'm assuming laurel blossom has a similar scent profile to heliotrope. I've never smelled it as far as I know, but this is definitely pulling like a powdery, cherry, almondy kind of vibe. And it definitely puts me in the same vein, perhaps, as BDK's Rouge Smoking. Very sweet, very lovely. I actually wore this to the grocery last week, and I had a lady tell me that I smelled really nice, which is, I'm amazed she could smell it in, modern day mask society. So, yeah, I was pretty excited. Nobody ever talks about my scents. Anyways, yeah, that was Dawn's Paris. A beautiful, sweet, powdery, kind of creamy fragrance. It almost has the texture of cotton candy. It's not the taste or the smell at all, but the texture, where it is slightly grainy, but also very fluffy and cloud-like. Yeah, so those were the 9 fragrances from the House of Celine. My favorites are probably Dawn's Paris, Black Tie, and Nightclubbing. But I also would definitely be okay with having Parade in my collection, maybe even Eau de Californie, just very easy, simple scents to wear. Some of these are more complex than the others, but they all were pretty great. Yeah, so that is the House of Celine. Thank you guys so much for stopping by the Burrow, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Toodles!